Am I the asshole for challenging my father-in-law? Strap in folks, 'cause this is a weird one. To me anyway. We live on the same street as my in-laws. My husband's parents live a few doors down and his sister and her husband live the other side of the road. This means my children see their grandparents more or less every day. About a month ago I was taking my youngest M11 to school and we saw his granddad, so he waved and they chatted for a bit, and then my son said, "Bye granddad, love you," and granddad called back, "Have a good day at school." In the car, child asked me why granddad didn't say "I love you too," and I said he was probably distracted and not to think anything more about it. It happens again a couple of weeks later, and again I don't make a big deal of it. Last night we were all round at sister-in-law's house, and as we're leaving child says, "Bye granddad, love you," and granddad says, "You're too big to be saying that now." Child men only say that to their wives. At which point both me and my husband had a WTF moment, and I leapt in and said, "Granddad means he only says it to grandma, sweetie, you can say it to anyone you like." And husband immediately backs me up and says, "Yeah, look, love you nephew," and nephew without looking away from the TV says, "Love you too uncle name." My father-in-law turned red and left. Now my sister-in-law says we shouldn't have embarrassed him like that and we need to apologize. I haven't seen my husband's parents yet, but I really don't see why I should apologize. I didn't do anything wrong except protect my son from something that I think was quite hurtful. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. Love is love and anyone that loves anyone else should say so. Not the asshole. Do not apologize. Let him be embarrassed, hopefully it will encourage him to keep his dumb comments to himself. Gramps is a homophobe. Not the asshole. That's some old world toxic masculinity. When I was in the Marines, we started saying "love you" to our battle buddies. After a few never made it back. To this day I end my phone calls with them the same way I do for all of my family members. Normalize telling your homies you love them. Not the asshole. Makes no sense at all to me. Even if it stems from some outdated homophobic nonsense like some people have suggested, how does that equate, in his mind, to a child not being able to tell his grandfather that he loves him? A child. Also, it's not like out of nowhere the child made a sweeping declaration, which is still fine and completely lovely. Obviously, it was said as a quick goodbye sentiment. So sad. Not the asshole. Tough beans for Gramps. Not the asshole, definitely. Let people say it to who they want. If someone doesn't want to say it, that's their choice as well. I don't know why he's trying to police who this kid can and can't tell who he loves. Now my sister-in-law says we shouldn't have embarrassed him like that and we need to apologize. You tell your Sil that if he wants an apology so badly he should act like a grown-up and ask for one himself. Not the asshole. And even if he does ask for one, this is not a situation where you really went on the attack. He doesn't need one. If you decide to give him one, be very careful you stick to apologizing for hurting his feelings while being clear that what he said was wrong and you don't want your son to hear it again. Not the asshole. You didn't embarrass him, he embarrassed himself by being emotionally unavailable to a child. That's weird. Just tell the kid you love him. Why is it such a big deal? Not the asshole. My nieces and nephews are all in their late 20s. We all still say "love you" when we leave or hang up the phone. Aunts, cousins, grandparents all say it. You Phil is an old-fashioned and your Sil is ridiculous for siding with him. When my nephew was 10, his mum and I dropped him off at school. He gave us both a hug and told us he loved us. His friend's mum commented that her son would never say that. My nephew said "I love them, why wouldn't I tell them?" Not the asshole, but I think some old guys think that way and it's freaking sad. Not the asshole. You did nothing wrong at all and you didn't even really do anything to shame your Phil, just reassured your son that it's okay for men to show their love even if grandpa doesn't feel comfortable doing it. Not the asshole. Don't know if your Phil is misogynistic or homophobic, but he's certainly just plain Nick. Tell your husband about Sil and let him handle his family. You raise your kid how you want, and if you want to raise your kid with healthy emotional and affectional behaviors, then that's absolutely nothing to apologize for. I'd suggest you stand your ground on this one. After all, Granddad was calling your son out on it and turning it into a big deal. You did him the courtesy of ignoring it the first time. Not the asshole. In fact, you're a far better person than me. I would have said something along the lines of, "Oh sweetie, things were different 100 years ago when Grandpa was young. Make sure you always give him extra hugs. The poor guy never had a chance to show affection." Not the asshole. Holy hell, Phil needs a reality check. Not the asshole. He embarrassed himself with his sexist hurtful comments. A child says he loves you and you dismiss him and belittle home. Your Phil is a DCK. He actually owes your son and you both as his parents an apology. Doesn't he have the right to tell anyone how they can express their emotions? Nor does he have the right to openly challenge your parenting, which is exactly what he did with his shitty comment. Your Sil needs to mind her business. She sounds like her father. She's way too comfortable telling people what they need to do. And your nephew is awesome. Nata, everyone is entitled to their own opinion with it. Not the asshole. And apologize for what? Trying to protect the feelings of your child who didn't get a reciprocation of the love he showed for his grandfather? Ugh, I couldn't stand living that close to my in-laws at all. Not the asshole at all. Good for you. Male here. I love you all. And I'm not apologizing for it. End of story. Not the asshole. You were just standing up for your son and setting the record straight. No need to apologize for that. Not the asshole. You were combating some toxic masculinity. Good job. Love this for you. Not the asshole. I don't think you even have to address this with him. He isn't required to tell his family he loves them. The world changes in shocking ways. Gas is not 30 cents anymore. People are actually telling their family they care. I really kinda feel sorry for Grandpa and his kids. Like, did nobody tell him, "I love you" after he turned 10? Not the asshole. X200B. Your sister-in-law is an R, you handled that very well. X200B. You have nothing to apologize for. Not the asshole. I have friends that say "I love you" when saying goodbye on the phone. I have even learned to say it when I know friends need to hear it. It only comes easily to me with core family, but I'm trying. Not the asshole. Love you are ratty handwriting. Not the asshole. You didn't embarrass him, he did it by himself. Maybe get him a calendar. It's 2023 and that sheet is not okay anymore. Not the asshole. Phil shouldn't be trying to pass his weird emotional hang-ups to your son. Not the asshole. But shout out to the 16-year-old nephew for the backup. Hell no, not the asshole. And you didn't challenge him. I am glad your husband hasn't latched onto that old head toxic masculinity crap and promptly backed you up. Your Sil obviously has, or she's being overzealous in her defense of him. My dad didn't tell me he loved me until he retired and I graduated high school. Not the asshole. Thank you for stopping the toxic masculinity for your son. Not the asshole. You prevented your Phil from dumping all that toxic masculinity onto your son and nephew. You're teaching him the right things. If it went unsaid, then despite how small or insignificant the moment was in your son's eyes, it would have eventually added up and left an impression on him. You and your husband are good parents who did the right thing in teaching your son good values. If anything, I don't understand why your Sil is asking you to apologize. You are definitely Natar. Not the asshole. He doesn't want to be embarrassed, he shouldn't do embarrassing things. Not the asshole. It might not mean much, but this internet mommy auntie loves your little boy. He sounds so sweet and affectionate and adorable. Keep up the good work. Don't let anyone dim his light.